So our next speaker is a Chief Financial Officer of Ambit Energy. So when I was thinking about women of strength, I had to look in the eyes and the faces of the women that are really behind the scenes for us ladies. And so that's why I wanted to invite Laurie Rodriguez, because I don't think we would get paychecks. I don't think we would have a budget without her. She joined Ambit in 2011. She's responsible for overseeing the company's finance department, including, now listen to this, accounting, tax, revenue assurance, planning, analyst, credit, collections, treasury, billing, transaction, risk management, and strategic development. Falls on this lady. Talk about multitasking. A man couldn't even do that. Sorry. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree from Murray State University in Kentucky. She's a certified public accountant, licensed in Texas, and a certified management accountant. More importantly, ladies, she is the proud mother of two wonderful, beautiful daughters, Shelby and Jessica. She enjoys serving others. She's participated in several mission trips to Costa Rica with her church, and she's planning on going to Boston in May with her youngest daughter for another mission trip where they will serve inner city youth and partner with local churches in that area. Please help me welcome our Chief Financial Officer, Laurie Rodriguez.
Today. It's not real often that I have a chance to speak to you all. In fact, I think this is the first time that I've been in front of a crowd this big of folks from Ambit, so thank you. And you'll have to bear with me today. I've been fighting a sinus infection this week, so my voice doesn't usually sound like this. So if it gets a little raspy and kind of gravelly, then just kind of suffer through with me as we move on. When Esther asked me to speak, I thought, okay, great. What am I going to talk about? What is it that I can possibly say to you all that you haven't heard somewhere else, that somebody else better equipped to speak to you hasn't already said? And I thought, well, maybe I could talk a little bit about myself, because most of you don't know that much about me. And she gave a really good introduction, I guess, and kind of summarizing a lot about me. But most of you have never met me. You don't know really much about my background or how I came to be at Ambit. And I thought maybe I could share a little bit about that. And then I thought, well, what topic am I going to talk about? Because Esther said, well, I need a topic from you. And I'm thinking, great, come up with a topic. So I came up with something that I thought would be interesting and challenging and hopefully relevant to today, which was how do you really face challenges when they come your way. So I thought, all right, cool. I'm doing pretty good on this checklist with Esther. She asked me to speak. I said, yes, check that off. She asked for a topic, so I gave her one, checked that off, and then I thought, that's just easy stuff. Because now comes the hard part for me of just really putting all of my thoughts down on paper and trying to make something coherent out of everything that's bouncing around in my head. So I struggled with the story of me and how do you face challenges when they come your way, and the whole theme of this conference of Women of Strength, and really how do all of those things fit together. And so hopefully I can weave together all of those thoughts into a fabric that really will make sense and will be encouraging to you and something that you can take away from today. As Esther said, I grew up in Kentucky, and she mentioned that I went to college there. I grew up actually born and raised in Kentucky by parents who shared very strong faith in Christ and instilled in me and my sisters at a very early age the need that we all have for His love, His forgiveness, His grace, and His mercy. Excuse me. That part gets me choked up. My mother worked in our elementary school cafeteria until I was about, I guess, in the 6th grade. And then she retired from there and went on to work in our church preschool program for another probably 20 years or so. She loves children. And so she served in that capacity for a lot of years. And my dad was a mailman. He delivered mail for about 30 years. Did I hear a yay? So I grew up in a house that was we were just normal people, just everyday people doing what we do. And, my dad, as the U.S. Post Office proudly boasts, and I'll just read their motto, and I'm sure all of you have heard this: we are mothers and fathers, sons and daughters who every day go about our lives with duty, honor, and pride. And neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night, nor the winds of change or a nation challenge will stay us from the swift completion of our appointed rounds. And I think my dad was the one that kind of instilled in me the work ethic that I have today, which is to always make sure that I accomplish my appointed rounds, whatever those might be, to the best of my ability. And I think being a daddy's girl, which I was growing up, and even still today, I just never wanted to disappoint my dad. I graduated from high school in 1980, so if any of you all are doing the math in your head, I'm almost 51. And growing up, I was pretty active, actually. Led a very active childhood and teenage years. I was captain of my drill team. You couldn't tell it by the little dancing that we did down here earlier. I was a member of the Beta Club in high school, member of various choirs and ensembles. I played intramural softball and volleyball, ran track, just did a lot of stuff. Went on choir trips and mission trips when I was growing up, and Esther mentioned I do that still today. And so I was basically a pretty active teenager. When I was 16, I was also a contestant in the Miss Teen USA pageant. I was competing for the privilege of actually representing the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We're not a state, it's a Commonwealth. There's a difference. I don't know what, but there's a difference. Representing Kentucky at the national level. And I didn't win. So it was my one and my only pageant, and I definitely knew early on that I was not called to be a pageant girl. So. The week before I graduated from high school, we had a seniors honors program that we did every year to recognize seniors, the valedictorian, the salutatorian, and all that. I was not either one of those either. But I did. I was recognized by my high school counselor who presented me an award called the William H. Danforth Award. And if you all are not familiar with who William H. Danforth is, he is the founder of the Ralston Purina Company. He founded the American Youth Foundation, and he was also a writer. And my high school counselor presented me with a book that he had written called I Dare You. And that was, my part of the awards program that night was to give me this I Dare You award. And I'm sure that I read the book and then probably put it right on the shelf, because as an 18-year-old headed off to college, it wasn't real high on my list of things to be worried about. But we'll come back to this book a little bit later. I enrolled as an incoming freshman at Murray State University as a music major with every intention of becoming an elementary music teacher. I worked my way through college as a resident advisor, working in the dorms, and I was also a counselor at an adult learning center there on campus, helping adults learn to do math, learn to read, and preparing them to take their GED. And it's very rewarding when you sit in a class or in a small group situation where you've got adults who are there to learn to read because they want to help their kindergartner learn how to read. And that was one of the greatest experiences that I had during college. I graduated from Murray State in 1984 with a bachelor's degree in accounting, as Esther said. And so, from a music major to an accounting major, something happened. And that means I've been in the business world almost 29 years. Right after graduation, I immediately moved to Texas from Kentucky, and I've lived here ever since. So, the saying, I wasn't born here, but I got here as quickly as I can. This applies to me. Excuse me for a minute, voice is getting tired. My first job after I graduated was with the city of Fort Worth, and I worked there for almost 7 years in governmental accounting. I started out as a staff accountant and kind of worked my way up a little bit, and ended my service there as the manager of the office services division, reporting directly into the director of finance for the city. After that, I left and spent about 20 years in the telecom industry, and met Chris in that 20-year span there. working for companies like GTE and Verizon, Excel, and Matrix Telecom, which is where I was immediately before I came to Ambit. Every position that I've held in my business career has been one of increasing responsibility and as you can imagine, a lot more work coming along with it every time. I've worked on multi-million-dollar acquisitions for companies and multi-billion-dollar mergers, and so I've had a lot of exposure to a lot of things. And each step along my career path has been carefully planned and crafted and put in place to refine me for the position that I hold today. But just to make sure that you all are aware, it wasn't my careful planning and crafting that brought me to where I am today. If you remember, I was going to be a music teacher. But I think God had a different plan for my life, and so He put me in the accounting program at Murray State. And I absolutely believe that I've been divinely placed into every position that I've held in the last 29 years. As a lot of you know, being a woman in the workforce can be very, very challenging at times. I've often had to work a lot harder, put in more hours, and taken on a lot more load than some of the men counterparts that I've had because they couldn't always handle it. I've been passed over for promotions, specifically one where I was actually the more qualified candidate than the man who got the job. And so you deal with those kinds of things as well. In times of downsizing at some of the companies that I've been through, I have also had to make really hard staffing decisions. And I've had to let people go, and I know the decision that I made affected their lives, and that's a hard thing to do. And so I've just had to really deal with a lot of things, and a lot of times putting in plans and actions for the company that a lot of the men just didn't want to do because they would avoid confrontation at all costs. And so it kind of fell back on me to have to do a lot of those things. There's a lot of preconceived ideas, I think, by a lot of women on what executives look like, female executives in particular. You've seen it on TV and in the movies, examples like Sigourney Weaver in Working Girl or Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. Those are women who were powerful in the positions that they held, and they were considered very successful. But they were also viewed as very strong women, in quotes. But I view that a little bit differently. While they might have been strong, I don't believe that they were women of strength, because I absolutely believe there's a difference. And that you can be powerful and you can be successful without being that strong woman. And I've found in all of the work experience that I've had that it's not about bullying your way to the top. It's not about who you can trample over to get there. It's not about breaking the rules or even bending them to get that next promotion. It's not about ruling with an iron fist, and it's not about exerting your authority over as many people as you can. Dan Allender, in his book, Leading with a Limp, said it this way: you may obey a leader who has power and authority, but you won't want to serve her or the cause of the organization unless you respect her. And I think there's one fundamental element that differentiates a strong woman from a woman of strength, and that's character. And character drives what it takes for us to overcome challenges and to be truly successful in what we do. Character drives our attitude, it determines our depth of courage, and our physical strength, along with our emotional stability. Character defines our ability to be effective leaders. A woman of strength is defined by how many people she can positively influence through her attitude, her work ethic, and her humility. A woman of strength is identified based on her inward character and her demeanor. And that's not really how anybody would look at those two women I mentioned in the movies. So the question today is, how do we mold our character to be women of strength, which will then allow us to overcome our daily challenges? See, I've kind of brought all that together. That's my one only statement. Dr. Tony Barron, in his book, The Art of Servant Leadership, said adversity doesn't develop character, it reveals it. Excuse me, I need a tissue. Oh, sorry. So when challenges come your way and they pop up in your life, how do you respond? Are you more prone to the immediate fits and fury and just anger that comes along with that? Do you worry and waffle on what you're supposed to do or feel weary? Do you feel defeated and enter into this state of despair? Or do you really meet those challenges with courage and with confidence combined with the love and leadership? Because I think those are the ways that we probably all have instances of those in our life when we deal with challenges. Martha Washington once said, I've learned from experience that the greater part of our happiness or misery depends on our dispositions and not on our circumstances. Challenges are generally temporary, and in my mind, they're mostly circumstantial. The challenges that we face today shouldn't determine the rest of our life. But how we approach those challenges and how we choose to deal with them will actually determine how happy or how miserable we are or how we choose to be. Borrowing, and you'll notice as I go through the rest of this, I'm going to use a lot of words from people who are a lot smarter than I am, so bear with me. Because I really found a lot of good information that summarizes better than I could ever say in my own words the message that I want to convey to you all today. Eleanor Roosevelt, famous quotes, she's got tons of them, but one of them was, we gain strength, courage, and confidence by each experience where we have to really stop and look fear in the face and then do that which we think we cannot. Challenges come in many different forms, and they can range in intensity from just a minor frustration to something that feels overwhelming and life-altering. But the key to effectively dealing with challenges lies in your character. Let's get back to that little book, I Dare You. I never really gave a lot of thought to why my guidance counselor selected me out of a graduating class of 350 seniors to give me this book and say to me, I dare you. What was he daring me to do? So I look back at this book a couple of weeks ago as I was preparing for this little talk today, and the challenge that Mr. Danforth put forward to everybody that he mentored. Now, if you remember, he founded the American Youth Foundation, and he basically said, I dare you to consider the job at hand as the most important one that you've ever undertaken. I dare you to give your very best to every endeavor. The most humbling part of this story is trying to figure out why my counselor selected me. What was it that made him think of me at age 18 that I could actually be dared, and he could say to me, I dare you to do these things, and he believed that they would come to pass. Mr. Danforth said that the fundamental foundation of a successful life was based on 4 pillars, and that's physical, mental, social, and religious. The ingredients for life are a body, a mind, a personality, and character. And all 4 of these must grow in balance with each other. Your mind shouldn't be developed at the expense of your personality or your body at the expense of your character. So I'm going to share just a few more quotes with you that I think specifically talk about how we can mold our character to be what we need to be in order to face challenges and be women of strength. Booker T. Washington said there's 2 ways of exerting one's strength. One is pushing down, and the other is pulling up. It's so much better if we approach things by pulling those up around us. Let's not push people down with the words that we say or our immediate fits and fury in dealing with these challenges. Let's pull them up. If you respond first with worry, with anxiety, with weariness, or waffling in what you're supposed to do, let that go. Charles Spurgeon, one of the greatest preachers and evangelists of the 19th century, said it this way: anxiety doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrows, it only empties today of its strength. And just a few more. Maya Angelou said, if you're feeling defeated, you will face many defeats in your life, but don't ever let yourself be defeated. Mother Teresa, be faithful in the small things, because it is in those that your strength lies. And Mary Ann Rodmacher said, courage does not always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. One guiding principle that will help us all as we face these challenges and make sure that we're women of strength is this, again from Eleanor Roosevelt. It's not fair to ask of others what you're not willing to do yourself. And that's one of my favorite quotes of hers, I think, because it's really a paraphrase on the verse Matthew 7:12, which is, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And I think if we all live by that wisdom, think what a better place that the world we have. Again, speaking on leadership, and I promise I'm almost finished, Dan Allender said, a leader, whether in the home, the church, the business, the community, or in government, has authority due to her role. But the positional power will not bring about good for individuals or organizations unless it's backed up by the capital of character. I am keenly aware that I hold a position of power and authority and, for some people, prestige. But I'm still surprised every day when people say that they're doing things only because I'm the CFO, or they're trying to be on their best behavior because I'm sitting in the meeting or something like that. When I get up in the morning, I see somebody that, doesn't look very good without makeup. I have to do the very same things that everybody else has to do to get ready and be presentable. I make this incredibly long drive every day to work through horrendous traffic around airport construction. So I'm just me. And I don't ever want people to feel like they're intimidated because they're coming into a meeting with the CFO. I just want to be there. I want people to see me as somebody who's willing to stand in the gap with them. Am I getting lasered? Cool. It's painless. I really want people to see me as somebody that's willing to stand in the gap right alongside them, to face the challenges that we have at work every day, and to just really help do the small stuff to get things done for the better of the company. I want people to want to work alongside me because they know my heart, they know my intentions, they know my character. John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, then you are a leader. I know that I've thrown out a lot of quotes, and I've got one more, so just bear with me. And this is probably my favorite one from today, and it's by Clayton Christensen. And it says, I've concluded that the metric by which God will measure my life is not dollars, but it's the individual people whose lives I've touched. So let me wrap up by saying this. You ladies today are in such a unique position. You have an opportunity ahead of you right now that you've embraced, or some of you may be even exploring, but you've got an opportunity that will not only allow you the opportunity to have financial freedom for your family, but will allow you to touch hundreds of lives. So today, I dare you. I dare you to accomplish great things. I dare you to develop the kind of character that you need that will allow you to overcome all of the challenges that you'll face, and to do it in such a way that you'll inspire others to do the very same thing. I dare you to become an effective leader through your character and your example. And I dare you to become a woman of strength.
Why don't we just all go home now? I have to confess, Laurie, I've never heard her speak. I mean, I see her spirit and what kind of person she is. And I was a little nervous. I thought, well, I don't know how much time she wants or if how it'll be. I could have listened to her for another hour. You under-promise, over-delivered, girl.